Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here to discuss my All-Star votings and give you guys the context and also reveal them already. Those that followed me on Patreon knew them a long time, but now it's going to be official for everyone. Let's just get to it. So I'm going to go through my top 5, my team, and mention like honorable mentions and rookie of the split, and then round off with MVP of the split. So let's just jump right into it. First and foremost, let's begin with our boy Reckless. So Reckless, for sure, above and beyond, outperformed every AD carry in his position. Did so much better. He had like maybe a rough game or two against G2 specifically, where he got caught on Aphelios, and another game that was a bit rougher against Origin on, once again, Aphelios. Aphelios needs to be in the right compositions against the right compositions because he's quite immobile. When he gets to do a lot of damage, which we also saw with Reckless, then he's going to be fantastic. The main criticism in the past for Reckless was the fact that he was, he was one-dimensional in terms of the champions that he played. And looking at how new the meta was this time around, which is very difficult to adapt to with the Senna and the Aphelios, and some AD carries just haven't adapted. Misfortune is also very, very new. He has been able to play everything. Everything. And the key thing and the question that remains is maybe Talia or Syndra, but it's hard to expect to someone, like put that task onto someone to learn everything, and maybe this is something that Fnatic is keeping for playoffs. Reckless, above and beyond, just outperformed everyone in his position, so I think it's a no-brainer to put him in your AD carry, top 5. If I was forced to put honorable mentions, because honestly, I don't think anyone deserves to be an honorable mention next to Reckless and his performance in this split, I would put Upset and Patrick. I think Patrick was doing super well on a very, very bad team. I think Patrick individually played super good, and Excel honestly was very unimaginative in many moments, and I think when Excel actually looked good, it was mainly because of Patrick and some decent early games. So Patrick is there, and Upset is also, he's just almost like a worse version of Reckless, I would say. But that's not something that is like insulting, that's not insulting at all. And maybe in a scenario where Upset has a better team, maybe he would shine even more. So it's up there, definitely. For those that are wondering, like, why is Caps not in the question here, is because Caps' performance has been very good in the last weeks. He's had some good Senna performances, good Talia performances, but the lane phase of Mickey and Caps is very, very iffy. Even though coming into playoffs, I would not bet against them specifically. I don't think they're going to be like a reason why G2 is going to like be destroyed or something. I think in the context of regular split performance, it's very important that this is what we're talking about. This is not a team that I would create, these top 5 players. This is not the team that I would create with the players. It is just me evaluating their performance in contrast to everyone else in their position. And then for the MVP, it's the contrast of that position's impact on the meta and how much of a gap it is between him and the person behind him. And I hope my criteria make sense here. Of course, there's going to be a sense of bias. I probably should have done this at the beginning of the video. There's going to be a sense of bias because it's my list. It's going to be my list. Some people are not going to be happy with it, but hopefully I can provide you guys with proper enough context. So the reason Caps is not here is because too inconsistent on the meta AD carries. And Misfortune looked rough. Ezreal looked decent. Senna looked decent. Talia looks really, really good. I think Caps is going to settle in, and I don't think it's going to be a problem coming into playoffs. But in terms of impact on the regular split performance, I think G2 had other key players that were the reason as to why they won. With Reckless comes also his support, and it is Hylissang. So Hylissang was someone that was heavily criticized. People saying that he's inting and so forth, but I think it's an element of how both Hylissang and Bwipo play is usually in losing positions, losing games, they try to be very experimentative. Of course, there are scenarios where Bwipo and Hylissang are actually just inting, but this is kind of the price you pay for playing on that edge that they are playing on. They manage to do very explosive things. They manage to find really, really good fights, and they really, honestly, they are the heart and soul of Fnatic. I think Hylissang had way more great performances in comparison to bad performances. I think Hili-Sang was like the question that the people that are runner-ups, of course, is Mickey, and then the third for me is Kaiser. Mickey still in the games against Fnatic, I think he performed super, super well. So he played one Yumi game, and then I think the second was a trash game, if I remember correctly. I might be wrong. Nevertheless, Mickey in the context of the key matches like Origin and Fnatic played super, super well. Hili-Sang's impact across the season, I think, has been higher. The Mickey X argument can definitely be made, but my issue still lies in the fact of Caps and Mickey's inconsistency in the bot lane. And this is not me saying that it's unexpected. This is a mid laner that swapped into bottom. Mickey is playing with a new player, a different player. This is going to change the dynamic, and I expect them to grow and become better coming into playoffs, right? But in terms of impact, I still think Reckless and Hili-Sang were more impactful for the team, and that's why I put them up there. Mickey still in the key matches has been super, super fantastic, and this is something that he should be praised for. And this is something that was, the trend for G2 in general. Like when they had the key matches coming up, like Fnatic, they actually kicked it up a notch, and they did better. Even though the games against Fnatic were very, very close off of the plays of the things that the Fnatic threw at them. So that's also important to contrast. This is not the best five of that. Like if someone told me make a team of European players, I would take these five. No, this is impact in regular split games, the 18 games that have been played so far. This is my criteria. Other people have different criteria. My runner-up, of course, is Mickey. Third is Kaiser. I think the only reason, not the only reason, but a big reason why I think Mad Lions is so successful is because Kaiser is a very intelligent support. Has a lot of good engages, understands which champion to pick in certain situations. I always give credit to players that have an eye for this. His team fighting is good, his lane phase is good, he understands where to be on the map, wards well, understands, he could be a bigger risk taker. I think this is where Mickey X and Hili-Sang shines, where they are taking risks in order to gain vision and also to find clutch engages and so forth. And I think this is something that Kaiser could experiment more with to kind of increase his potential, but I think he's very, very solid, and for me is the clear third best support of Europe, and that is very refreshing and very exciting in contrast to how boring the support position has been in the past years. Next in line is a no-brainer, Perks. Perks is very far ahead of any player, I think, in Europe. I think he's just a complete package. Strong lane phase, very, very strong champion pool, understands how to impact other lanes, understands how to play the split push game, understands how to play any variant of macro. I just think that Perks' game understanding and game sense is just super, super key. And mechanically, I don't think anyone outruns him in the mid lane either. I was talking with Perks on Euphoria this morning, and I think he raised a lot of good points about other mid laners, that they have like individual strengths, like few strengths. For example, Humanoid, lane phase, quite strong. But he tends to die to ganks, he tends to die on side. He has a very predictable champion pool as well, in the sense that he likes to play the Zoe, he likes to play the Azir, LeBlanc, and he goes into this direction, right? Nuktak, weaker lane phase, but plays all of the champions. So you can expect Nuktak to always pick the right champion for his team, because he has a wide champion pool and understands how to impact the game. He's going to be the type of player that is going to always look to impact the game outside of the lane phase as much as possible and pick something that matches the rest of the composition in order to increase the chances of winning. It's not necessarily always through him, but he can be that catalyst too. And I think that's what's so incredible about Nuktak. For such a long duration, he is able to play so many different champions at such a high level, which is what makes Nuktak so strong. And then the last one that comes to mind, of course, for people is Nemesis. But Nemesis, in the current meta, is very happy because he gets to play his own style. Every mid laner gets to play his own style. The mid lane meta is not like three champions that are really, really good, like Azir Zoe Rise or like Sylas Akali and so forth. It is indeed the champions that people choose to play. There are different blind picks. Some people pick Corki, some people pick Akali, some people pick Aziz, some people go LeBlanc, some people go Orianna, some people go Victor. The list is endless. It's all about preference, right? Some people go Kiana, some people blah blah blah. You get my point. It is wide open, and I think in a world like this, Nemesis gets to play his own style, which is mostly centered around. I know he plays Negan Graves or whatever. It's centered around control mages. I think Nemesis has been successful in like the TF meta, the split push meta, like that he created for himself with the Corki and TF and play on side. This he did well. He also did well in any control mage meta, and that's where he seems to be the most comfortable. In assassin meta, I think he's going to be weaker, and perks, I think he's going to always stand true to the test of time in terms of always adapting to any meta. I think he's going to be fantastic in a Zoe Azir Ryze meta, because his Ryze is insane. His Azir is not worse. I know the rhyme is there, but we're talking about G2 perks. He is just the most well-rounded player. It's hard to point a weakness to him. He's a complete player, and that's why he's first place. And I think the people that come next to him in terms of the people that are going to kind of withstand any type of meta for me is Fabib and Nuktak, and then Nemesis in particular metas. The clutch thing about Nemesis is the fact that he is so good at not dying to ganks, and I think still the players that will stand the test of time, I think just Nuktak and Fabib, especially now after the shit that happened with Fabib in North America, he seems to bounce back properly, and he is the player that he once used to be. It makes it more exciting around the mid lane. Next in line is Jankos. Jankos has been so good this spring split. It's there's this inherent nature where you're looking at the MVP vote and All-Star vote, where you want to think to yourself, oh, Jankos got it the last year, let's not give him again, but let's put all that bullshit aside. Jankos has been the most consistent player on G2. He's been super insane. He has picked up new champions. He has controlled every pacing of the game. Every time he is better up against a jungler that is cocktaily and coin flippy, he always figures them out. If he's against a jungler that is considered good, like Selfmade and Xerxes, he always figures them out. I have not seen a game this split where Jankos is a reason as to why G2 is behind. I think Jankos' analysis of game state, analysis of how to execute ganks, the timing of it all, and choosing when to clear jungle camps, all of the good things that you want in a jungler, the same way we spoke about perks, Jankos is that definition here in the LEC. I don't think anyone comes close. If we have someone that comes close, it's going to be Selfmade, because Selfmade can also fit this description. He fits the meta, he can play many different champions. He is just a tad bit worse than Jankos, and then I think everyone else has clear weaknesses, as we mentioned, for mid lane. The other junglers would be Xerxes and Razork, and I think it is something that doesn't need to be discussed, that they are not on the same level as Selfmade and Jankos. I think Jankos, above and beyond, is the best jungler in Europe and the West. The last player here is going to be Bwipo. So there was a lot of talk about Alphari, right? Alphari is a very solid player, very strong lane phase, very consistent. He is very disciplined in the way he plays. Bwipo has this element about him that he's playing in a very exciting way. Sometimes he dies on side too much. This is his biggest weakness, dying on side, and sometimes in a couple of games inting it. That's cool. But Bwipo's split this year has been on the heavier end of just destroying games on many different champions in a meta that looks very stale because of Set and all of these other champions that everyone kept playing, Gangplank, whatever. In a world where that looks pretty stale, Bwipo has managed to play many different champions and at the same time play the meta champions at a very high level. We're talking about the meta champions, but it's not like Bwipo doesn't play them. Usually you have players like this that don't want to play these meta champions because they can't play them. They figure out to solve the puzzle in a different way. But Bwipo, when we think of Bwipo, Set, he plays many times. Aatrox, he used to be Aatrox one trick. GP used to be GP one trick. Anything that is in the meta, he can indeed play, and on top of that, more. And I think Bwipo has a very good eye of understanding how to impact the game. And I think this is something that he has done better than Alfari. I think Alfari is very, very solid and would never, ever be a reason as to why a team would lose. And Alfari definitely stomps down on the players that are below him. But all in all, I think Bwipo is just the more exciting player, especially in bigger games. And I think Bwipo has had a fantastic spring split, and I think we should definitely celebrate that. Very, very similar to the vein of Hilisang. I think they are the soul of the Fnatic team, and I think they did many, many things in order to make Fnatic a very scary team to face up against. So this is our all-star team, my all-star team. Of course, before we jump into that and make a conclusion, Wunder also deserves to be mentioned. I would put Wunder as the better player over Bwipo and Alfari. The key thing here is Wunder played a lot of Janna, a lot of Soraka, played some Sona too. It puts him in a light where his performance wasn't the key reason as to why G2 is going to win or lose a game. This, once again, I repeat, this is for me the players that are most impactful in the regular season games. This doesn't mean that these are the best players coming into playoffs. This could change very rapidly. I would still put mikyx as the best support coming into playoffs. I would still put Wunder as the best top laner coming into playoffs. I would put Rekkles as the best AD carry. Personally, Jankos is the best mid duo coming into playoffs. This still matters in terms of regular split performance and the impact that they've had in their position. I think in the 18 games that they've played, these 5 players have been the most impactful. This is not a prediction for playoffs, guys. I repeat. Okay. Alfari I also mentioned, very, very solid, very strong start of the split where everything was cocktail and continued to sail in a very, very equal fashion. Sometimes it's curious, with players like Alfari, if the team is holding the potential of Alfari back, or if it's just the nature of the players that kind of have come together and have this nature of Origin. It's kind of harsh. I'm saying Origin is being held back. They are 3rd place and doing very, very good. They lost against Mad Lions, of course. But in general, they're doing good things. So I don't want to be too harsh on Origin because I find myself always talking bad about Origin, but it's always in the context of them beating Fnatic and G2. Everyone below them, I would always bet for Origin. Mad Lions did beat them once, but that was just, it is what it is. It was a good game for Mad Lions. Okay. So after that, we continue on to Rookie of the Split. I think it's pretty obvious who I'm going to put. For me, it's Kaiser. I mentioned and talked about him before. He doesn't get his own picture. I don't want to look it up just now. We're just going to keep the also team. It would ruin the whole flow of everything. So we're just going to keep the also players there and we don't put our friend Kaiser up there. Kaiser just super role is a very rare role where you have a rookie coming in and do fantastic. The last time I remember this was mikyx. mikyx was the player I brought in back in 2016 after benching Nisbet. We went all the way to the regional qualifier, beat Unicorns of Love and went to Worlds. This was Mickey's split. This was his rookie of the split. He went to Worlds, right? He was the rookie that went to Worlds. Just like that, And I think of our history, and very rarely you see players of this caliber. You see some players come around, come out, but never stuck around. Kaiser is going to be a household name. He should definitely be on the radar of teams that can't pick up either Hilibaba or mikyx, because this has always been the problem. How do you beat these guys? Kaiser's the next generation. Very, very strong player. And now finally, the moment you've all been waiting for. Let's remove the all-star team. My MVP goes to Jankos. So Jankos has been, for me, just above and beyond the best jungler. I think it's been quite significant, the gap between him and the other junglers. I think Selfmade is definitely up there in the conversation, but for me, once again, Jankos takes the MVP. I just get so impressed by the level he always performs on. I think there is a world where Perks gets it. He's my second place. I put Perks as second. I just put him on his shoulder here, and then Bwipo as his the third. because of the impact they've had in their positions. I just think Jankos has been the most significant. There is a world where Bwipo doesn't have that gangplank game in the beginning of the season, doesn't have those deaths on sideline, and maybe he gets considered higher. Maybe if Perks doesn't have that Silas game, maybe if he is not looking to expand his pool and prepare himself as much as possible for playoffs, it's going to look different. Because G2 and Fnatic and all of these teams have different aspirations. That's why we're always viewing this in the light of how well they played in the regular split. This is not a tier list for the players. This is for the performance of the players in... I'm trying to figure out the camera. For the performance in the regular split. We are rating their performance. We're not rating the players. This is very, very important. I hope you can walk away with this, because I feel like a one-string banjo. Just bang, bang, bang. Just repeating the same thing over and over. My hair is crazy. My list is less crazy. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This is my reasoning for it. Coach of the split, I think, is a joke of an award. So I'm not going to vote on it. I've won it once. The year I won it, or the split I won it, I look back at it as one of the splits where I am the most disappointed in myself. So it's hilarious, you know? It's important that you can't really judge how much a coach does, you know? You can't judge how much a coach does. Nevertheless, I got an award. It's cool, you know, it's fun to get it. I'm not gonna deny it, but voting on it feels kind of weird, you know? Feels really, really weird. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Stay safe out there. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If something doesn't make sense, maybe we can talk about it. If you have different opinions, you can also talk about it. Mention it in the comments below. If you made it this far, bless you and bless your face. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys want secret information before anyone else, you can just check out the Patreon and, you know, support me there. Especially, I can mention now that I'm working on the next meditation clip. And I can also mention that I am going to be casting the G2 versus Mad Lions series together with Trevor, Quickshot, Henry. I am super, super excited to get the opportunity. I feel super, super honored. I am super hyped in general. All the best to all of you. Much love. Cheerio.